What are the best settings for this monitor? And by best settings, I mean the settings I adopted as my test settings in the review. These worked on my unit according to my own preferences and got things in line with the usual targets I go for in my reviews. Be aware that individual units and preferences vary, so these won't be optimal in all cases. Starting off with SDR, you'll first want to consider your picture mode, which is the preset used by the monitor. Many of these presets make funky changes to the image by default, but you can configure them to your liking. You might also notice that each preset has two different versions of itself, default and custom, and if you select custom, you can quickly access some of the settings you can adjust for each preset, rather than having to go a bit deeper into the menu to get these settings. Settings you configure, whether in the little quick menu I showed you or the main menu for each preset, they're remembered separately for the default and the custom version of each preset. If you have brightness mode set to highlight, which is what I'm using at the moment, that will unlock higher brightness capability for the screen. But if you do that, you won't be able to access the MPCS text setting or associated presets, so you can see a couple of these are grayed out. This is a strobe backlight setting, which I explore in the review. Innocn mode, which I've currently got selected, that uses sRGB emulation, so it clamps the colour gamut to sRGB, which some people might like. But by default, it also sets colour enhancement to level 5. And that oversaturates by pulling shades closer to the edge of the gamut without expanding the gamut itself, and therefore it crushes shades together so you lose variety. If you do want to use sRGB emulation and you don't want to faff around with undoing some of the settings made with the Innocn mode, then you can select the sRGB mode instead. And with this kind of sRGB emulation and no weird saturation tweaks going on, you get more faithful reproduction for most content, which is designed with the sRGB colour space in mind under SDR. There are also settings which clamp to Adobe RGB and DCI-P3, as explored in the review, and they could be relevant for some people. Note that if you are using any of these emulation settings, then some settings such as the colour temperature or colour channel adjustments and gamma are grayed out, but you can adjust brightness and you can also use local dimming. I prefer to use the full native gamut when I'm testing screens and explore emulation modes separately, so I will stick to the standard mode preset, and that sets a good baseline and it won't need as much tweaking as some of the other presets. So with your presets selected, such as standard mode as I'm using here, you then have to decide on the brightness level which is appropriate for you. The brightness mode can either be set to normal or highlight. As I mentioned earlier, highlight will unlock higher brightness potential. The actual values which can be expected with these different settings, they are explored in the review. But on my unit, if I'm using the highlight brightness mode, I would have to have brightness set to 22 to get close to my usual target of around 160 nits. This is without any local dimming. I will explore local dimming separately. But you always adjust brightness according to your own preferences and lighting conditions. There is a light sensor feature. If you activate that, you don't get any control over brightness. And that's the case whether you're using local dimming or not local dimming. And this will make some adjustments based on your ambient lighting. I don't like this kind of restriction, having no control over brightness, and I didn't really agree with the brightness adjustments it was making, just not according to my own preferences. So it's there if you want to use it, but it's not something I'm interested in. I also adjusted my gamma setting to 2.4, as explored in the review. That was optimal on my unit. That may not be the case on all units though, so make sure you check these out according to your own unit. Maybe 2.2 would be optimal for some units. And I also switched colour temperature over to user 1, although you could use user 2 or user 3 as well. And I made some adjustments to the colour channels. I set red to 50, green to 48, blue to 45. That got close to my usual 6500K white point target with a good neutral green channel. I would say that the green channel adjustment is a bit touchy, so even single unit increments here, they can have quite a pronounced effect on the strength of the channel. And they also knock down the contrast of the screen a bit due to the reduction in brightness output without affecting black point. So basically I'd recommend going easy on the adjustments here. You don't want to be making extreme changes here if you can avoid it. So I've gone through picture mode where you set the preset, picture settings. Next is game settings. HDR I'm going to go through separately. Adaptive sync on if you want to use VRR on the monitor. Local dimming I'll go through very shortly. In picture enhancement you've got various other settings. I left these at default, and anything I'm not mentioning I did leave at default in the standard mode preset. With two exceptions. One of them is dynamic OD, that's your overdrive control. I found level 2 optimal, that's explored in the review. And also I enabled overclock, which gives a slight boost to the refresh rate maximum from 320Hz to up to 345Hz. I'm now in Shadow of the Tomb Raider and I'm going to cover local dimming under SDR. You can adjust the brightness when you're using this. I've currently got that maxed out, so I've got the brightness set to 100 and I'm using the highlight brightness mode setting. The reason I've got this all maxed out is it'll help highlight the differences in the video between the different settings I'm going to cover. As usual, I don't personally like using local dimming on the desktop as it introduces some obvious inconsistencies. I talk a bit more about this in the review, but either way, it can be a nice setting to use for a more dynamic movie watching and gaming experience. The setting is called local dimming in game settings. You see there's off, low, middle smooth, high and strong smooth. As a little tip, if you're frequently changing the local dimming setting, then scroll down to System Settings in the OSD and you can assign one of the hotkeys to local dimming as I've done here. That means you don't need to go through the whole menu to adjust the local dimming settings. You can just twiddle the joystick right a couple of times and you can adjust the setting there. If you select low, it acts as more of a mild contrast enhancement really. It groups together many of the actual 1152 dimming zones of the monitor, so you have far fewer effective zones than that. And dimming is less aggressive even when very dark content is displayed. Mid or middle, that ramps things up a bit. You now have a bit of a stronger effect, but it still doesn't give the experience I'd expect from this sort of mini LED solution. If you do want to use local dimming on the desktop, you might find these gentler settings fine to use though. High is where the fun really starts, and that's the setting I would recommend using for a dynamic gaming or movie watching experience. That or the very similar strong smooth setting, which I've just selected there. And I did find this extremely similar to high, and I actually settled that simply because it sounds cooler. But this strong smooth or middle smooth setting, which is the equivalent setting for middle, it's supposed to smooth out some extreme contrast transitions a bit. So if you notice a flickering effect due to the zones very rapidly brightening or dimming in some scenes, it might be worth checking out some of these smooth settings to see if that helps you. As I noted, you can adjust the brightness according to your own preferences using local dimming. I've got it set to 100 at the moment just to demonstrate things, and I've got the highlight mode selected. You could select normal if you prefer. The same shared brightness control is unfortunately used for local dimming on and off, so you might want to configure a different preset to use exclusively for local dimming. I personally like setting the brightness to 50 using the highlight brightness mode. I find beyond that brighter shades can become quite uncomfortable to look at, even in a reasonably well lit room, and much below that there's too much detail masking for dark and medium shade combinations such as those going on in this scene here. For viewing comfort reasons, I would use a lower brightness if I'm using local dimming in the evening in a dimly lit room though. Because of how local dimming works, some shades will be dragged down so they're darker than intended, and this can be easier to notice or more impactful with lower brightness settings. If you do find that the detail's too masked in dark areas, perhaps where there are combinations of dark and medium shades, you could also consider using a lower gamma setting, but that will affect the image more broadly and overbrighten some shades. Another relevant setting, found in picture enhancement when you're using local dimming, is halo control. I like to set this to 100, which allows the monitor to bright bias slightly more. This means it will brighten up some elements that should be bright a bit more than with lower halo control settings. Conversely, if you do reduce the halo control setting, it can reduce some instances of haloing. This can occur due to bright shades being brightened up strongly, so that darker shades covered by the same dimming zones could be overbrightened. They may be noticeably brighter than when that same dark shade is displayed by neighbouring dimming zones, which are much dimmer and able to display those dark shades with superior depth. I actually found the monitor dark biased quite strongly for smaller highlight details, where haloing might be the most obvious, even with halo control set to 100. It lifted up such shades, and some halos could be seen in places, but because it doesn't go for extreme brightnesses for such elements, the haloing was pretty tame for an IPS mini LED model. I also feel that smaller bright highlight details became much dimmer than I'd like them to be if I reduced the halo control setting significantly, even with the monitor brightness ramped up. But you can set this according to your own preferences in single unit increments, so you get a lot of flexibility. I didn't really feel it had a dramatic effect in most scenes, so I'd recommend setting it to 100 and just reducing it if you notice any haloing issues that bother you. And just a quick tip for games console users, this has nothing to do with local dimming specifically. In game settings, all game mode, there's something called SPX mode, and that switches over to a 4K UHD downsampling setting. And that can be particularly useful for games console compatibility, although it is available on both DisplayPort and HDMI on this model, and you could use it as a PC user if you particularly want to. So that's how I've set things up under SDR. Using standard mode, brightness I set to 50 when I was using local dimming or 22 when I wasn't using local dimming. Highlight brightness mode setting, gamma at 2.4, colour temperature set to user 1, with red at 50, green at 48 and blue at 45. Adaptive sync on, local dimming off for general use of the monitor, or when I want to use local dimming, I would set it to strong smooth. dynamic OD set to level 2, overclock on, and again relevant for local dimming, halo control set to 100. And I know there was quite a lot that I've just gone through there, so I don't generally do this. I think in this case it would be useful to just show you a little table on the screen, just summarising these settings that I changed on the monitor. Remember that anything I'm not mentioning here is left at default for the standard mode preset of the monitor. I'm now running Shadow of the Tomb Raider under HDR. Under HDR, your controls on the monitor are greatly restricted. For example, you can't adjust brightness, gamma settings, or colour channels. And actually in the picture settings menu, you've only got eye shield remind, so not related to your image settings specifically. You can adjust local dimming, with low being the lowest you can set there. You can't disable local dimming under HDR. And you can also adjust your halo control setting. My recommendations there would be the same as under SDR, so I like strong smooth or very similar high for local dimming, and I like to set the halo control to 100. Just be aware that brightness levels are higher under HDR and things can be more dynamic, so there's more potential for haloing to be easier to notice than under SDR. Again, if you're finding them problematic, don't be afraid to reduce the halo control setting. Aside from that, the main setting to focus on is HDR, so that's the HDR mode of the monitor. There's Auto, HDR Game, and HDR Movie. They all offer similar brightness potential for larger bright shade areas, as I measure in the review, but there are some differences in how they're tuned elsewhere. Starting with Auto, which I'm currently using, this provided natural to slightly undersaturated colour output. Some red bias shades in particular were less punchy than they should be, particularly given the generous gamut of the monitor in that region. HDR Movie, which I've just switched over to, that does well in the colour department. It might not be clear in the video, but actually even these yellow and orange shades have a punchier look to them, and so do the red shades down there. And overall, the saturation levels are largely appropriate now, without the kind of undersaturation I was observing with the Auto HDR setting. It also offers the most neutral, closest to 6500K white point, with Auto being somewhat cooler in that respect, and HDR Game cooler again. Refer to the review for specific measurements for this. As I noted, the monitor doesn't give you the ability to customize colour channels or colour temperature mode under HDR, aside to any changes made from the HDR mode you're using. HDR Game, which I've switched over to, provides a punchier look. Things aren't as oversaturated as they would be under SDR using the full native gamut, but there's still a bit of that going on to various shades, including some reds, purples, pinks and blues. I feel that this is a setting that many people will quite enjoy for this reason. If you want a punchier look with other settings, as a PC user, you could maximise the saturation slider in the Windows HDR calibration tool, for example, although if you're doing that using the auto setting, you'll find you start oversaturating some shades such as greens quite heavily before the reds are nicely saturated. And that's just because of the skew to the gamut using that setting. A note on HDR Game as well is that it has super resolution enabled by default, and that's one of your picture enhancement settings, and that oversharpens things, but it's easy enough to disable as I've done here. I'm still using HDR Game, but I'm on another scene. I feel the local dimming algorithm is well balanced here. It gives a relatively good atmospheric look. The bright elements here are brightened up reasonably well, enough to stand out. The auto setting is similar in this respect. I've just switched over to HDR Movie. The bright elements are actually brighter now, and they do stand out nicely. But the monitor's also boosting up the darker content too much, so it has this almost foggy appearance that wasn't there using the other settings, even though I'm using the same local dimming setting, strong smooth, or high. This is strongest around the bright object. There's this clear bloom around it, which is a lot stronger than I was observing with the other settings. But it also applies further out from that, as if the gamma's gone a bit wonky. And this does persist even if you reduce halo control to 0, incidentally. You might find this sort of thing good for extra visibility in dark areas, but it adds an odd inconsistency to scenes like this, and it affects the intended look. I'm on another scene on Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and I'm still using HDR Movie at the moment. My main concern in this scene is that there are a lot of small bright elements. You've got lots of little bulbs and lights with much darker backgrounds, medium and dark shades in the background, and you've also got some fireworks and embers in the sky there. It's brightening up even these smaller areas of bright shade too much, so it's bright biasing a bit too strongly, and it is doing that enough to cause some haloing. And with the medium shades surrounding these bright elements, the haloing can actually be observed as these sort of gamma and colour temperature shifts, which causes a sort of flickering effect. It might be a bit difficult to see in the video. It's actually Something which does catch my eye though, just as I'm moving the character around, or as there's motion going on, bright shades moving against the medium shades in the background. And this is something I've observed in various games in different scenes, not just here. I can give a clear example of what's going on here if I pause the game. If I reduce the halo control enough, so it's still happening a little bit at 20, halo control 20 for some shades. At 0, actually a little bit going on, but not like I was showing you before with halo control set to 100. So yeah, if you reduce the halo control enough, then it does reduce or eliminate the effect here, but in some other scenes I can actually still observe this even with it set to 0. And you might see why, because even with 0 there is a little bit of flickering, you can see just around the mouse there, just depending on the background shades. I've now switched over to HDR Game and I don't observe this effect. Not just in this scene, but in the pause menu as well. I just don't see this flickering effect or these weird halos. And what I've just shown you there is with halo control set to 100, so fully maxed out. Although I won't showcase it here, the auto setting doesn't have the issue either, or only exhibits a very mild halo effect without obvious flickering. So I would personally side with HDR Game, given the overall local dimming algorithm tuning and the saturation levels, which I feel most people would enjoy without undersaturation. If you prefer a less saturated representation, the auto setting is a decent fallback. And if you want extra pop to smaller bright elements and don't mind some of the wonky gamma and halo issues that come with it, the HDR movie setting is worth considering. So to summarise my own preferences in the menu, that's HDR set to HDR Game, local dimming set to strong smooth, although high is very similar, halo control at 100, and anything else that's configurable I left the same as SDR. For example, adaptive sync is on, dynamic OD level 2, and overclock on. I'm back under SDR and I'd just like to go through visibility enhancement. So if you're playing a game and you want a competitive edge, you want to lift up darker shades, there are a few ways you can do that on this monitor. There's a night vision mode, and if you increase that, it will lift up dark shades, but that does include black, so you're affecting your contrast. I'm not entirely sure what auto level does. I'm assuming it looks at the image and makes adjustments based on that, but either way it is lifting up black, so it will give you a competitive edge by lifting up your dark shades, but you're crushing the contrast at the same time. The other relevant setting is gamma. It's set to 2.2 by default. If you reduce that, then it will give you a bit of an uplift to some of your dark shades. So this is set to 1.8, for example. But as I explore in the review, even with this set per my test settings, which uses gamma 2.4, there is actually an uplift to dark shades anyway that the monitor will naturally do. So you might find it actually is fine in terms of visibility levels for dark shades by default, or even with the gamma raised as I did with my test settings. Just be aware that what you see in the video here is not representative of what you'd see by eye, but it will still give you an idea of the relative change that the settings I went through can make. And last but not least, or perhaps is least in my opinion, but for some people this is important, so I like to show them anyway, there is Game Crosshair in Game Aid, Game Crosshair. A few different designs here, the basic white design shown here. Well, I tell a lie, it's not actually a white design. You can tell I don't use these. It changes according to the background shade, so it's a smart crosshair. It will contrast with the background shade for you and automatically change its colour. There is crosshair colour in the menu. It's set to auto, which was what I was showing you, the smart crosshair kind of thing. But you can actually set it to red, yellow, green, cyan, blue, purple or white if you prefer.